This episode of the Citadel Cafe is brought to you by listeners like you. Visit patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe to find out how you can become a patron and help make this show possible. This is the Citadel Cafe, episode number 303 for Wednesday, January 23rd, 2019. My name is Joel Duggan, and the Citadel Cafe is where my friends and I hang out to talk about the geeky stuff that we are into. Joining me this afternoon is Miss Megan Townsend. You can find her at Megan Townsend on all the social media that matters. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
I have spoken with you a number of times online, but not on mic in over a month.
I know, it's been a while. I almost forgot what you sounded like. No, that's a lie. I know. I listen to the show every week. So I was like,
I was about to say.
No, that's a lie. I mean, like, I'm sure you forgot what I was going to sound like or how I sound.
No.
No? Okay.
Well, we've been doing this for long enough that
That's true.
We always have the... Yeah. I feel like I have co-hosts kind of names and not names, voices kind of imprinted in my brain. It's very much old hat now with the 3 or 4 people that rotate through.
It's true. It is very true.
Yeah. So,
well, I miss talking to you. It's been a while.
It has been a long time. What have you been up to? Like, how are you filling your Canadian winter?
Hibernating.
Yeah.
No, just mostly just work.
Yeah.
Mostly just work. Been writing. There's a couple of writing competitions that are coming up.
Oh, cool.
Like for screenwriting and stuff that I'm trying to fine tune, and hopefully if they're to my standards, hopefully I'll submit them to something.
Right. Now, is this related to the era of Keldanan, or is this just your own?
No,
stuff?
It's not. It's more like some. I got the idea a little while ago. I watched a silly YouTube video about public domain characters. And how, like, this is when the new Robin Hood movie was coming out, and that's how it's like, listen, no one's asked for this movie. We've had so many different versions of Robin Hood, and, this guy managed to figure out what made all of the other Robin Hood movies suck was that none of them felt like Robin Hood. Because, like, you got the one with, like, Russell Crowe, and you got all the ones that had, like, the big budgets, even that, like, stuff with King Arthur and stuff as well. They all had huge budgets. But the reason they all fell short with their big crews and big budgets and high big name actors is that none of them felt like the source material. Whereas, like, you think of movies like Robin Hood Men in Tights with Carrie Ellis, and like the anthropomorphic animal Disney version,
which is my favorite, by the way.
Which is my favorite, yeah. Like, there's a poll. Like, this guy did a poll. It's like, what's your favorite version of Robin Hood? Or what do you think the best version of Robin Hood is? And that Disney one was number 1. Number 2 was Men in Tights. And then all the other ones were just not voted for at all.
Right.
And aside from one with, like, Errol Flynn, which is the original.
Well, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Every
the classic,
yeah. That's like, that's like the pinnacle. But, it was discussion about, like, public domain characters. And the 2 public domain characters that are, like, frequently cycled around are King Arthur and Robin Hood. But no one ever, like, pays attention to the source material. There's no, like, Sheriff of Nottingham a lot of the time. There's no Maid Marian. There's no, merry men. They kind of just make it gritty. Everything needs to be gritty now. So I kind of got the idea. It's like looking up other public domain characters that are, easy to write about. And I'm really into Greek mythology.
Oh, cool.
I love Greek mythology. And I kind of like the storytelling of, like, taking a character who's perceived to be a villain, but kind of showing their true colors a little bit.
Right.
Like, I love, like, the book Wicked for that reason. Like, the Wicked Witch of the West, how it's kind of telling her story from her perspective and not so much, the Disney or the MGM movie perspective that we're all so familiar with. So I hear a lot of, there's a lot of misconception about Hades, the god of death, and how he's, like, the bad guy because he's, like, the symbol of death, but actually he's a big old cinnamon roll. So I kind of wanted to write a movie about, like, about Hades and like, but like his marriage to Persephone, and how Persephone is usually perceived as like this sweet little girl who was, abducted into the underworld, and really she's like, apparently she was more feared than Hades was at some points. So
Right.
I kind of wanted to play with that dichotomy a little bit.
I took a classics course or two when I was in university because it was an easy way to kind of double down on your brain share. And if you're
Mm,
taking some art classics, then that counts as your art history. And if you're taking like a mythology classics, then that counts as your extracurricular. But there's enough overlap that you're not studying two completely separate topics. Like you're not taking geology and mythology.
right.
So you had a little bit more of a brain share there. And it was kind of fun to see like the art and the myths and how they would tie in together. And I
Yeah.
always remember like reading about the myths. And I mean, I was very young. I would have been 18 or 19. But your Hollywood perception of Greek gods, the pantheon, like all that kind of stuff that you see in cartoons, that you see in movies, and blah blah blah, and then you read the actual myths, and you're just like, wow, this is like Game of Thrones. It's a lot. I mean, back then there was no Game of Thrones, but like I'm reading it, I'm looking back at it now, and it's like there's a whole lot of gray. There are no real heroes as we think about them.
No.
Everybody's kind of an asshole,
Yep.
and none of it happens the way that you were told. Like it's just like, well, wow, when did that happen? Like that's not in the Hercules story. It's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, they leave that kind of part out because it doesn't fit either popular culture or in a lot of ways, like similar to the Hades thing that you're talking about, it doesn't fit with, well, I want to say modern Christianity because that's just kind of like a broad accepted good versus evil kind of notion of heaven and hell, right?
Right.
When Hades is not like Hades, the underworld is not hell, right?
Right.
It's not because everybody goes to the underworld. It's not good or bad. Like it's
Yeah.
just that's just what happens in mythology. And but unfortunately, Hades and the underworld get tied to the devil and hell because of
Yes.
pop culture and Christianity and that kind of stuff and like all these different things kind of meshing in together. I always like watching documentaries about like myth and mythology and stories and how they got twisted over time and like you know Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is really Snow White and the Three Dwarves and it's really a really brutal, terrible. It's not a fairy
Yeah.
tale.
Well, like the whole Brothers Grimm stories,
Yeah.
like they're grim. They're grim.
Yeah.
Like Cinderella is pretty terrible, and like Snow White is even, yeah, is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like they made the evil witch like dance on hot shoes at her wedding until she died, and like,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I mean,
it's
a lot of them were
dark
just
shit.
meant to share to scare your children into not leaving the house or the yard. It's like don't wander into
Yeah.
the woods because you will get lost. We can't find you and you will die. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna scare the bejesus out of you so you don't go and wander off.
Yeah.
So the moment that
And
you
it's
lose,
funny how
yeah,
like those things kind of stay with us over, like, even after all this time, right?
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've been looking, I've been trying to find, I've been in the mood for more animation. I've got a couple things that are on my Netflix watch list. I can't recall them right now, but it's like the Witch's Flower or something, and there's a couple of
Oh, I
other.
watched that. It's
Is it
cute.
good?
It
I
is
don't.
good. I mean, like, it's not as it's the same studio as Ghibli, and it's the same style as Ghibli, but it's not Ghibli.
Yeah, like
So I'm
it
gonna
looks
call
like
it
this.
Ghibli adjacent.
Yeah, like, it looks like the same vein, the same quality, and that's really what
Yeah.
I wanted. It's like I just kind of wanted something because I one thing I do find about anime fantasy is that as weird as they can be, sometimes the imagination is very very cool.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've been diving into some pixel art research and things for my own just personal interests and finding a lot of pixel art games, and a lot of those are JRPGs, and so I
Hmm.
mean, Japanese and animation and and Chinese and Korean animation come into it, and so when you start to kind of see these overlaps and the different styles and stuff, I've been kind of seeing the appeal a little bit more, and actually, before I forget, Goro Fujita, it is spelled as it sounds,
Yep.
is a fantastic VR painter and animator. And he
Goro
has been,
Fujita.
I share his stuff all the time on Facebook, but he's on Instagram as well. He does like daily VR paintings. They're very simple. Like I mean, to do this kind of thing daily in 3D, like you can't have like super detailed stuff. But
Mm.
but the anime style lends very nicely to him like drawing like a little mushroom character jumping up and down. Like he does loops, like they're kind of animated loops, someone cycling a
Hmm.
bike or someone, running down a street or jumping off a building or swinging back and forth or something. But
Right.
he is now graduated from just not just doing like these things that are in VR. He uses a Vive, HTC Vive, I think, and Quill, which is the program that comes with it or that you can buy for it. It's cheap. It's like $10 or $20 or something. But it essentially allows you to paint like with ribbons. So like if you think about yourself as like a mummy, if you were going to wrap yourself in like a ribbon around your body and it would create the form, like if you were then not there, those ribbons would be showing like where your forearm
Oh,
is. And
oh, I think I saw something about this with like Disney animators drawing in VR for the first time.
yes, yeah. So
Something similar,
similar
yeah.
to that, where you kind of wrap the paint around the form as opposed to just painting things flat. Anyway, he's now kind of taken this and he started to export them into Maya, which is a pretty standard animation program, and then also render it with a specific renderer. So you're not getting his animations that he was sharing before were all very in program. Like you'd still be able to see his controls and his window and all this kind of stuff. And they'd be cool, but you'd be very much looking at a very rudimentary graphic. Similar to how when you walk around in something like Minecraft and then compare it to something like, Assassin's Creed, one feels very much more modern than the other. And
Yes.
and with this switch to rendering stuff, then it all of a sudden feels like, wow, I'm having a hard time. Like, did he do that in VR or is this stop motion animation? Like the
Mm-hmm.
quality once it's like rendered and animated in those other programs where you can create it in the VR program, but then you use the other things to just kind of polish it. Man, like they are really really fun. Like that kind of thing has me looking into all that kind of other kind of animation and the different styles and things. I kind of lost track of where I was going with this, but we were talking about animation styles and mythology, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I had to think
So,
about it for a second.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
So, but like, I don't know how I got onto the whole anime thing, but I don't remember what my point about mythology was. But see, like, seeing how those different stories and different cultures kind of like clash, and seeing how, like for us, like it's always in North America, it's always the little animated animal character, whether it's a dragon or a dog or a cat or the main character has like a little non-speaking companion.
Yes.
But in a lot of the anime stuff, it's not necessarily a real world creature. It's like a mushroom with a face or some
Yeah.
other nondescript kind of weird. Like they tend to give character to things that aren't. They're more spirit guide animals or spirit sort of stuff. Like they're not necessarily like cats, dogs, pigs, chickens. Like it's normally something weird,
Yes.
and I usually find that kind of stuff more imaginative. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've been looking for something in animation to kind of push boundaries because I find that a lot of stuff lately has been cookie cutter. Like it just,
Yeah, it's been a lot of cutouts or a lot of remakes of stuff, and
yeah, yeah.
I find like I think that's what I've always liked about Japanese animation as a medium anyway. And like I wouldn't say that I'm like a diehard anime fan now. I think because a lot of anime these days is very very tropey.
Mm,
When I say tropey, I mean like you get a lot of the same ideas. You get the same kind of like
mm,
certain types of female characters, certain types of male characters, like and they all have like specific names and there's like specific things that like beats to happen and to make this like this is a quintessential anime.
mm-hmm.
But there are some that kind of come from a place of like art and
Yes.
mythology and imagination that's really really beautiful. And um, Mary and the Witch's Flower is really good for that. I need to watch it again. I will admit that it was really late when I watched it and I did fall asleep halfway through, but what I did watch was beautiful. It looked really nice. Narratively, I found it was a little bit like, it wasn't a lot of depth to it. It's a
Mm.
pretty standard story. But visually, it's stunning. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for
Um,
is some more kind of visual stuff. I've been looking for
yeah.
animation, and the animation that I see is all the same sort of like. I mean, as good as they are, like I talked about Three Below a couple weeks ago with Steven and Troll Hunters and stuff
Mm,
like that. But just everything else just seems to be copycat. Like it's just there's another Netflix show that's animated, and it looks like Three Below with robots from a different like it just
yeah.
doesn't look all that original. Or I know what it's going to be from the character designs. It's going to be limited animation. It's going to be the same sort of set pieces. Like I was looking for something more traditional, and nothing I could find was really going to like blow my mind. Like the last animated film that I watched that was like really well done in terms of the animation was The Incredibles 2. But like with Pixar, like you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Yeah.
just been like there hasn't been a big animated release in a while outside of Spider-Man, but like I was looking for something on home video
Right.
So like I haven't been able to find that, and I think I remember where I was going with the whole mythology thing is that I was looking for something that had that kind of adventure. Like I wanted something that was like fantasy over sci-fi, and
Yeah.
so I was looking for the sort of like swords and sorcery and stuff like that, and I couldn't find anything. I mean, I found some terrible documentaries, and I only watched like one episode. And I found some. I tried to watch one show. I guess we can kind of roll into what we've been watching. I tried to watch First Night or something. I can't remember what
Mm.
it was. It's about the Knights of the not the Knights of the Round Table. It's about the Templar. It's about French
Oh,
Templar,
okay.
and it's
Okay.
it's one of those shows where you think it's going to be good, and then they start putting like gratuitous sex in it for no reason, and you're just like, oh crap. Okay, fine. It's going to be one of these shows. It's like a Netflix or a BBC thing where they've just taken a page from WB or CW or whatever. You're just like, nope, sorry, not. I'm not.
Yeah.
I wanted a show about knights, not a show about the knight's relationship with the queen. Like
Right.
right. I
Right.
didn't want that drama. I wanted the political military drama, not the political social sleeping with who's drama. Uh,
Right.
and there's also a bunch of like, and there's also those archetype characters who's like, oh, that's the guy's right hand man, and like from the first 5 minutes that you see him, that's the bad guy. Like it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
You're just like, dude, like act yourself out of the cardboard box. Like just because you're the villain in the script doesn't mean you have to walk around with a dark cloud over your head because it means everybody just kind of points you and go, yep.
You're it. You're the guy.
You're the guy that I'm going to see chatting with someone, sheepishly in the catacombs in the next scene. And sure enough, there he is, like
Yeah.
whispering
Yeah.
and sending his little birds. And you're like, oh, I hate predictable stuff like that. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I haven't really watched a lot since last week. I have basically what I've been doing is I've been continuing to watch Titans, which I mentioned, and I know I want to talk about with you, but you've only just started, so we're not going to get into it.
Yeah.
I will say that I
Next
have,
week.
yeah, next week. I will say that I have one episode left, so I stuck with it. I will say that is worth sticking with. I would say watch the whole season, even if you waver halfway through as I did. Just stick with it. It does get better. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it's the best hero show that I've ever seen,
Mm.
but I think if you look at it from the standpoint of like, if it does well, then it can be improved upon with other shows. And I think that's where we all have to look at it. It's like, look, it's the superhero show that's taking a step towards what we all want. It's not what we all want, because
Okay.
it's going to divide. It's going to divide a bunch of people. It's going to divide the hardcore fans. It's going to divide the people that don't like the whole DC dark stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there that needs improvement. However, there's a lot of original stuff. There's a lot of um, character development and stuff that I do find um, interesting, and the quality of the show, at least in terms of like the cinematics, and some of the people that are good or bad are not good or bad right away, and you're not really sure. And so that kind of stuff I find a little bit interesting. Now I have to say that there are also some characters that I've seen doorknobs written better, and it's, I'm not laying it at the feet of the actor. I'm like, I can, like, when people have, they have these conversations and you're just like, wow, I've had better dialogue on Arrow, and you're just like, how did this happen? So it's there. Like, I'm not saying it's not without some eye rolling moments,
Right.
but it's in the right universe. If it was anything else, I can see people being really disinterested. Like if it was they were trying to sell something brand new, woof, no, probably not going to go
Yeah.
anywhere. But the fact that it's in like the Batman universe with Robin and the spin-offs and like that
Mm.
kind of stuff is in there, and you specifically will be very interested in, I want to say, the latter the latter third. There's some characters that come in that I think will be really interesting for you. And
I did kind of okay, so I didn't watch anything, but I did kind of go through like see how many episodes there were, and I know that Donna Troy makes an appearance at one
yes,
point.
yeah. And those are the kind of
And
things that I think really keep me interested, is the ties, not necessarily depending on the Batman and other heroes that we all really really know, but just giving enough of a springboard, like, oh, this character is connected to that thing. Like,
Yeah.
you like the Robin character and you want to see Dick Grayson do well in the show, but you're even more invested because he was once Robin and was working with Batman. So like
Right.
that's the extra hook. So a lot of these characters that are coming in are interesting, but then they also have this extra hook. And that's why
Mm.
Lou said it last week, and I'll say it again. Watch until the end of episode 4 because of the tonal shift and the other characters that are in there. And it just it takes it it changes your preconceptions about the show, even the ones that you have through episodes like 2 and 3. It just kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute, maybe I can't predict where this is going, and I feel like that's kind of a nice thing to do. It's also it would be more fun to watch. Like I think you and Bethany are more into this kind of stuff, and watching it together would probably be pretty cool because then you could have stuff to
Yeah.
talk about and bitch about.
She did say that like someone she follows on Tumblr has been tweeting about it, and she's like, it's got to be doing something right because like this person that she only follows like a small handful of people, and this person is usually pretty critical of a lot of stuff, but they've
Mm.
been like reblogging gift sets and things, and have been saying some things about it. And she's like, it must be doing something right.
A lot of artists that I
I'm gonna say
respect as
that like
well.
the sorry,
I said a lot of artists that I respect as well are
yeah,
they're not saying Spider-Man. They're not saying like, "Oh my god, it's the best thing ever. Go see it right now."
yeah,
They're saying, "Huh, not what I expected." Points for being different.
huh.
I see that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, like, from just first impression right now, we'll just touch on it really quickly before we get too deep into it. Because, again, I've
Hmm.
only watched one, I literally finished it before we started recording. Was, like, just some of the characterization right away. I'm glad they got the whole fuck Batman business out of the way
Hmm.
right away. Um, I think some of the characterization is a little bit wonky right now. Again, I don't know any context. It's out of context for me because I don't know what's happened afterwards. And I'm sure that's all or what's happened before. As I'm sure I've managed, that's all going to be figured out eventually. Um, but I find that like Starfire, I do like the name they chose for her though because her Tamaranian name is Coriander.
Yes. Yeah.
But they call her Corey Anders, which I thought was kind of neat. I'm like, okay, I got it. I do like the casting choice. I was a little bit concerned about hair and costume design initially when I saw some behind the scenes photos.
Hmm.
It didn't look good
Yeah.
at all.
She stands out, but it's not like
Not in a bad way though.
it doesn't look to me as off as even in the trailers the hair from the girl in Aquaman. I can't remember her character's name.
Mara,
Mara. So
Mara,
in the
yeah.
even in the trailers, Mara's hair looked to me terrible. Like it just looks completely fake. Whereas I
Mm,
mean, whether it's a wig or a dye job or whatever they've got going on in Titans, it doesn't distract you. Like you're not looking at her hair the whole time.
no,
You just go,
no,
oh, she's got crazy magenta hair because
yeah,
it's also the kind of magenta that I've seen on people, right? Like
yes,
I've seen people that have that color hair either walking around town or on Instagram. It's not that abnormal, right?
right.
And I think that that's
Yeah.
yeah.
So like I will say that like from initial trailers and initial promo photos that are going around that it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be,
No, like
which is going to be begrudgingly saying that's
it's
like
one of
okay,
those
okay.
things where the marketing department did not talk to the
Oh god, they
director.
dropped the ball.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not good. It
Yeah.
was. I remember. I think we talked about it on the podcast a little while ago. You're
Yeah.
like, so Titans. I'm like, yep. I think I might give that one a hard pass. Hard pass.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of digging my heels because I know when you were like, you should watch it. We'll talk about it next week. I've been really digging my heels about it, but I'm like, okay, all right, I'll give it a go. I'll slog through it. My rule is usually 3 episodes.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get me by 3 episodes, I got like if you can't get me going by 3 episodes, I'm probably out.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Well,
just kind of my
yeah.
rule. But you were saying that Lou said 4 episodes and you said 4 episodes, and I was like, okay, I'll for this one show, I will stretch
And
it to
it's the
four
kind of
episodes.
thing that they could have done it. Like they could have taken 1, 2, and 3 and squished them into 1, 2, and then have the current fourth episode be the third. Like it's
Mm.
just this particular show just takes a little bit longer to get going. And
Yeah,
and
and that bugs me a
what
little
strikes me
bit.
is that I think that episode 1 should have been just like an hour and a half, right? As opposed to the episode 1 and 2 are really the same episode. Like it's not You know what I mean? Like it was a two-parter
Mm,
that could have just been one and then two, three, four, five. You know, rather than 11 episodes,
yeah.
they could have had 10. That sort of idea. Because they,
Yeah.
but I think, and I'm noticing this a lot more now. I think that there's a lot of more like I don't know whether Netflix is going to be exclusive with some of this stuff. I feel like sometimes these things are getting sold to perhaps air on other networks or other streaming services, so that they have to have not necessarily room for commercials, but they have to have a certain number of episodes to fit other content. I don't know
Right.
about. This is a pure speculation. I might be talking out of my butt, but I've noticed that there tends to be an unfortunate trend with some of these Netflix originals having these slow mid seasons. It's like I don't understand it. You're not trying to get over Christmas. You're not, putting in filler so you can stretch to make the 26 episode season so you can be on network television. Why are your middle episodes so boring when they don't have to
I'm
be?
wondering I'm wondering if it's just like an old habits die hard sort of thing. Because I
It
think a
could
lot of
be.
writers who are jumping from
Mm,
TV are coming over into the Netflix world where it is bingeable.
mm,
So it's kind of like, you kind of get stuck in this rut of like, all right, oh, we have I know, I know that most writers would just kind of like write episode by episode and hope for the best kind of deal, right? Because you
mm-hmm.
never know when you're going to get canceled. At least now, with binging, like people will buy a whole season first,
Yeah.
so you have no excuse to keep like map out your narrative for the
Right
season,
seasons. Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Because there's a,
And that kind of
yeah, there's at
sorry, go
least,
ahead.
let's say there's at least one or two episodes where while you do get some character beats and those are that's what keeps you holding on, the entire plot
Yeah,
is useless. Like it moves the
yeah.
plot ahead millimeters season wide. There's an arc to the episode, but you don't care because it's not interesting, and it's a
Mm,
tropey thing that you've seen in every other superhero show ever, and you're just
right.
like I remember cartoons that were more interesting than this. So and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff is hard to get through when if you're already on the fence. And Lou, I think, also mentioned it last week where there does feel to be some ham-fisted other characters being put into the show that are probably going to either get their own show or they're trying to test the waters to see how those episodes do to see if they should invest in those other shows. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I would rather Netflix put out one episode, just make a pilot and just release the pilot and say, hey, do you guys like this? Do you want more? Don't put that pilot into a season of other stuff because I don't want, like, if I'm coming in expecting X, I don't want Y, right?
Right.
And I think that that's one of the things that Titans is guilty of. Again, still worth watching. Just not perfect, not shiny, but still, I think the direction that I'd like to see more superhero stuff go. It doesn't all have to be campy because that's one thing for the most part season wide. It's not, which I was
Mm,
surprised, right? Um, so I'm happy about that. So the other thing that I watched, which I think I've mentioned either, I don't know if I've mentioned that I've watched this again on the show or whether I was looking forward to it, but Solo, a Star Wars story, is on Netflix, and I was in the mood for like I couldn't find anything good. I wanted to watch something good, and everything was just like, I might want to check that out. I wanted something that was like, yes, I was excited. I was waiting for this to hit Netflix, or I've seen it before, and so I've already watched Infinity War, and then Solo came out on the 9th or 12th or something. So I was like, okay, well, I'll bookmark that for some Saturday night when I want to watch it. So I watched Solo over the weekend, I believe, and I really enjoy that movie. I've already talked about it at length on the show with Johnny. That was back in like April or May of last year. But the more I watch it, the more I like it, with the exception of Donald Glover. I really don't.
really?
I don't like his Lando, and
Really?
there are feathers of good in it, but half the freaking time he can't decide if he's speaking with a British accent or what. Like he's
Donald
just
Glover?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh.
If you watch it again and just listen to his lines, they're like from one
I
scene to the
haven't seen
next.
it at all, but
Oh really?
I've heard good
Eh,
things about his Lando.
nah, it's okay. It's not. I would have just preferred to him. I would have preferred he be just Donald Glover. Like he was trying. So one of the things that Lou and I mentioned is that, and again, forgive me for not remembering the kid's name that plays Han Solo, but he channels Han Solo,
Mm,
and he does it in just enough, but he puts his own spin on it. What he doesn't do is a Harrison Ford impression, right?
right.
What Glover does half the time is a Billy D. Williams impression.
Right.
And then the other half the time, I don't know what the hell he's doing. But I was on the fence about it when I first saw it, and enough people were kind of like, forgiving about it that I didn't really come down on it hard. But after a second viewing, it is the weakest part of that whole movie. Um,
Really.
yeah,
Hmm.
but on the flip side, I also really enjoyed, without getting into any spoilers because you haven't seen it, Kira, the she's Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so she's in
Yes.
it, and her character, watching that through a second time, was fantastic. Like it's good the first time, but it's even better the second time. I mean, she's
I
an
mean,
excellent actor
just
anyway, but
Amelia Clark is just
yeah, no, she's
like
charismatic and
chef's kiss, like
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's very engaging, and I find her even more engaging for me personally, just as an actor than any of the other people in the cast. But
Do you think that's because she is Daenerys? Like, Daenerys is a pretty commanding character in and of itself, and I'm wondering if that gives her maybe a little bit more presence
no,
to other things, or if she's just like
no,
a better actor.
no. It's the character, the way the character's written, the way that she's portrayed. I think also, again, an easy forgiveness is that she's new. The character Kira, you're not
Mm,
looking at Han Solo trying to tie things together. You're not looking at other characters and trying to figure. Oh, okay, so I mean, not that I'm judging Chewie's acting, but like you're looking at Chewbacca and you're always analyzing like how does this tie to the Chewie that I know, right? And you're
right.
doing that a lot with Solo. Again, really really enjoyed the movie, and the effects and all that kind of stuff are fantastic, and it's very much Star Wars. The music kind of gets you like it's an excellent ride, and I'm glad that it's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen it,
Hmm.
that's an excellent kind of like Saturday night. Grab your bag of M&Ms and your popcorn and just let her go.
Hmm. I'll have to give that one a
Yeah,
watch.
but that's
I
it. Like
haven't really been in the mood for a lot of Star Wars stuff lately, but I feel like I need to kind of get back in on that
yeah, I the
a bit
cartoons that are
more.
on currently are not really appealing to me. So I've been kind of
No.
jonesing for some good sci-fi, and I haven't really. Like, well, this is why I watched Infinity War. Like, I wanted like action sci-fi. Like, I really wanted
Yeah.
some good stuff going on. But
Yeah.
what have you been watching?
A couple things. I accidentally binged all of Sex Education on Monday.
So I've heard good
Like,
things about this show, but I've never
and
actually.
I, and when I mean accidentally, I just mean like I was hanging out with one of my friends from work, and we were hanging out on his couch, and we just turned it on a whim, and then just were like, the next one, let's watch the next one, and then by the time we got to the end, we're like, oh, oops, it's 4 a.m. We finished the whole
Oh my
season. Oops,
god,
my bad. Like we just couldn't stop.
are they
Um,
short? They must be like half an hour.
No, they're an hour.
Are they
We
really?
just,
Wow.
we just couldn't stop. Like we just watched the whole thing through. And we're like like it got to the point where we're like, okay, maybe we should stop now. And then there was like one episode left or something, or there were only two. They're like, let's just do one more. It's fine. And then we just accidentally finished the season. And I was like, oh wow. Um,
Oh, to be young again. I can't do 4
oh
a.m.
man,
I
I
would. I
wouldn't say
would.
that I'm that young, but thanks, Joel. But no, like you usually like after about three episodes, I'm like, okay, I need a break now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Too much TV
Um,
or sitting or whatever.
but
Yeah.
I could not stop. I couldn't stop. It was so I can't even really place my finger on like what was so compelling about it. I think it's British humor, so it's really dry humor, which I really
Mm,
like anyway.
mhm.
And the first episode is hilarious, like super super funny, to the point where I actually needed to stop it and have like a 10-minute laugh attack about something. Like so, it's definitely not for children.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely
yeah.
not for
I'm guessing. I'm
children.
guessing. Is it
Um,
sex education like sex ed class in school? Like, is that the setting?
No, okay, so it's about this boy named Otis, and Otis's mother, who is Gillian Anderson, the
Okay.
actress Gillian, she's from X Files.
X-Files. Yep, that's her. Yeah.
Yeah, she plays his mother, and she's a sex therapist. Her and her ex-husband are both sex therapists. So you find out kind of throughout the course of the show that she's divorced and her husband's now and or ex-husband's now in the States, and Otis kind of has like these weird hang-ups about like sex and masturbation, and he's kind of like he's really open-minded about everything, and he'll have conversations like his mom asks him very very personal questions. She was just like, do you want to talk about this, and like in her therapist voice, and he was like, no mom, I don't, it's fine, I'm going to go to school now, bye.
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
and but like she tries to make it like a really really comforting sort of like non-judgmental sort of space. So like I think what's really great about it is that it takes it takes like, like the concept of sex in most things is very like taboo. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is like a dirty thing, but like it's kind of painting it in more of like a, hey, it's a cat, it's whatever, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And it's kind of discussing like hangups that people would have about sex, but in like a positive light, like how to get through things, how to communicate with relationships a bit more, and how to I wouldn't say it's like a how to, but it's kind of like it's like the emotional journey that
Yeah.
these characters go through, and then Otis is kind of like the center of it all. So he is, this inexperienced kid who's just really really good at talking to people and kind of getting to the root of their problem. So he kind of listens to his mom's sex therapy sessions, and then sort of takes what he learns, and with the help of this girl named Maeve at school, like she's, um, she lives in a trailer park. She lives by herself. Her dad's gone. Her mom's on drugs somewhere, and her brother is kind of just, out in the, ether in some space. Um, and so she's really really by herself, and she's constantly trying to find ways to come up with money for rent and what have you, and while still doing good in school. And she's brilliant. Apparently, she's a really amazing writer. She's really smart at. She's just really really good at school. But she kind of dresses a bit more of like grungy, and she has piercings and her hair is pink, and
Mm-hmm.
she, there's a bunch of rumors that were going on around about her from, middle school, I guess, and now she has this reputation of being what they call like a slag, like she's, like someone who hooks up with a bunch of different people.
Right.
Right, so that's kind of followed her, and she's very much the type of person who's just like, throws up middle fingers at you and it's like fuck you, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of just goes through her life. But she and Otis kind of start out this sort of sex therapy thing in school, so they charge people like, 20 pounds a session or whatever for like an hour. And Otis is just a really chill person to speak with, and he kind of speaks with them face to face, and he's like, tell me about like just like, why do you feel the need to do this? And he takes things very very pragmatically, but it's also a journey of like them kind to trying to figure out their relationship as friends and being interested in each other, and then also being interested in other people. And it's a really, in terms of like relationships, it's just a really human way of interaction. It's very human, it's very organic. And I don't usually like to use that word for describing things. Organic just feels so crunchy and
Mm.
granola bar. But no, it was just there was a really really natural progression to story arcs and narratives, and nothing felt forced, nothing felt um over the top.
Hmm.
It was just teenagers trying to navigate the world of sex, and adults also trying to navigate the world of sex. And it's kind of interesting to see, kids get a bit more responsible, and like,
Yeah.
kind of take ownership of something that's usually considered fairly taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really good. Just all the characters were super likable. It was very very funny. It's also very emotional, and sometimes as well, like not to the point it's like, you want to cry, but
Mm.
you
Yeah.
definitely can resonate with a character at some point or another.
Right on.
And it was a very very entertaining show. And it's like, I find British shows are always very very well written anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they
And
have a
I
lot
find
of
that they have that balance, like you said, like they can attack a taboo subject, whether no matter what it is, and deal with it in a way that's a little bit more trying to word the
normal.
word well the word natural comes to mind, but not in a way that, like, not to tie it back to what you said about like a natural flow or being organic, but they don't, it doesn't sound like an after school special.
No,
Like if they
it
deal
didn't
with
feel like
it,
that at all.
they bring up
It
things
was like,
like,
don't forget to wear condoms, like it didn't feel like that. It
yeah,
wasn't like a,
exactly,
like a,
exactly,
like
like,
here's a PSA announcement about
yeah,
how to have sex,
like
right?
for
It was more just
in
like,
a, it's better now, but for the most part, in a lot of North American TV shows, when a character is gay, whether it's a man or a woman, it's like they're the gay character, and there's a scene where that is driven home, right? Whereas
right.
in a British show, that tends to be just like, yeah, that's the gay character. They've always been gay. Like, I mean, like the 14-year-old boy with the 15-year-old gay friend is just like, yeah, it's my friend Bob. Like, it's just Bob. Like that.
And that's exactly what it is
Yeah,
with this as well. Like Otis's best friend Eric is gay, and Eric does have a bit of a journey of like dealing with oppression about it, and he does go through a bit of a blip where he tries to hide
Yeah.
or like tone down his flamboyancy and everything, and his family's very like, religious, like they all go to
Right.
church and everything,
Yeah.
but his parents know it's not a secret. His dad's a little bit weird about it, and he's more just like, I just don't want you to get hurt. But eventually he kind of comes into his own, and he goes to, Eric decides to go to church again and still, accept his queerness, and
Yeah, so it's a
so
little
there,
bit
it does touch
more,
on that a bit, but
yeah, like even keel would be like it's presented as like a normal baseline. Like people are different, but
yes,
it's all the same baseline, and that's
yes.
something I really enjoy about that. Because I found in previous British dramas, I've not watched anything about really this much sexual diversity, but a lot of it has been um, either financial or I'm not familiar enough, but it would be like, an inner city show in London, and people from different areas would be like, well, they're the preconceptions would be they're thugs and they're the people that have low income and like, oh, that's a rough neighborhood. And
Mm,
so, or these people are all stupid, or, they've been raised a different way. But the show would then present everybody as like, look, we're all just people, right? It's
yes,
like so,
yeah.
and then those preconceptions is what that show would be dealing with. So you'd have like these other side characters, or some person like a clerk at a checkout would be being the not racist, but like being that class, kind of a being an asshole really. But the two characters that you're engaged with, they don't care. Like
Mm,
they're friends because they're friends, and they don't care where each person came from. And I always find that those like that kind of presentation in a lot of overseas dramas is better handled. For example,
right.
like I mean, I haven't given up on it. I will probably end up binging it when it ever comes to Netflix. But like I stopped watching Supergirl because it just got so preachy, and it was like four different topics per week, which is like each character needed to get on their soapbox and talk about what's wrong with the U.S. And it's like it's fine. I understand there's a place for it, but like people are a lot smarter than this. Like I don't want to watch an after school special. I kind of want to watch Supergirl save a bus. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah. And I
it's
get you, but
yeah.
I feel like sometimes America needs
Oh,
to be slapped over the
oh
face with a
yeah. No,
whole
I
bunch
get I
before it
get, I
nails
get that
home.
I'm also a open-minded, very much liberal.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
know all this stuff, so I kind of understand that I'm not the audience. At the same time, but
Yes.
what the problem I have with it is that it's ruining one of my favorite superhero shows. Like,
It's true. Yeah,
stop
no,
it!
understandable.
It just
Actually, a really interesting point in sex education, sorry, that just occurred to me
yeah.
was at one point Maeve is she finds out that she's pregnant, so she goes to get an abortion. Abortion, I guess, is very like open. It's an open topic in the UK, or at least in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And you do get like those classic high extra religious people who are just like, no, like don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And Otis is kind of just waiting for Maeve at the clinic to kind of help her out a little bit, but can't wait inside for whatever reason. So he's kind of just hanging out outside, and some lady like gets after him for it. He's like, I'm just sitting here. I'm not part of this whole situation. So like it was kind of neat to kind of see some support for that, because I know that that's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty like
Mm-hmm.
taboo topic to discuss on, but how it showed it in kind of like a sort of positive light, but also that's not even the right word. Not positive, but also just,
Well, it's
hey, here's how it is, sort of deal.
it's frank. It's here's how it is.
Yes,
It's
it's thank
yeah,
you.
and here we are aware of the negatives, and insert old lady causing
Yes.
problems, but we're not going to ignore the negatives. But we're not going to treat this. We're not going to treat the situation as a negative. We're going to here's
Yes.
the neutral presentation, and here's the positive and the negative characters reacting to the neutral presentation of this is just a
Yes.
thing that has to happen, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
I appreciate that kind of stuff too.
It's
Um,
yeah, just as far as the show goes, it was very, very well crafted. Again, like, we were talking about that issue of like having a middle sag, like,
mm-hmm.
sagging middle story syndrome or whatever. This does not have that. Like, from beginning to end, like there's a clear like arc, and it just keeps going up and up and up as far as the season goes. And there's like some downs and dips in there and stuff in terms of like, character mindset and what have you, and every character's going through their own journey, but it's and as part of the story as a whole is just going up towards a peak, and it's staying there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really, really well crafted and really well written. I mean, it's amazingly acted. Gillian Anderson is hilarious. Like, because she does everything with like a really, really soft voice, and like she's
Oh
not
yeah.
very over the top, but she says
The
some
tell me
like,
how you really feel therapist voice.
yes, yes, but like she says some of the most like outlandish things. Like in the trailer, she just says very matter of factly, "Tell me the earliest memory of your scrotum." Just like completely
Yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah.
like very casual, very light, and it's just like, but it's just so shocking at this. I think to us, like North American audiences, I think are very like
Yeah.
everything is very taboo. You don't talk about that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
you know, in a
Yeah.
TV show,
Or
right?
nor do
It's
you
not
think
something you
about that
talk
kind of
about.
stuff because you're just like, well, wait a minute. Like, I didn't make a mental note. Like
Yeah, yeah, right. But just to have someone ask that or something, and I don't know. It was just it's really really interesting, and it's very funny, and it's heartwarming in some
yeah.
instances as well. And I just like how positive it is. Like it just paints things in such a positive light.
Mm.
Like there's no bias. There's no bias of like this is bad, this is good, blah blah blah. Like there's no right or wrong. It's just is. It just is, and it's how different people react to this state of being, I guess. And
Mm.
it's just a really refreshing take on a lot of stuff. And the delivery is hilarious. Like the first, like no holds barred, so you're gonna see a lot of boobs, you're gonna see a lot of dicks. Um,
Wow.
it like, but it's funny. Like it never feels uncomfortable. I think is the important part
Yeah.
to state. It
Yeah.
never feels like wrong. It never feels wrong,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like a lot of North American TV would make it feel like if you saw this, like with HBO, like oh we're seeing a bunch of boobs, like oh
Yeah.
this is taboo, but it's kind of just is, it just is, and
Mm-hmm.
it's cool. It's just a cool thing to watch. I really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't even say inherently sexy. Like it kind of
Yeah.
takes the sexiness out of sex a little
Right.
bit, which I think is kind of funny. Um, Nothing feels taboo in it. It
Yeah.
just kind of is like very matter of fact,
It
and
it
I
reminds
really
me.
appreciate
It
that.
reminds me. I don't remember the character's name, but Martin Freeman in Love Actually, he's like a nude stand-in or something,
Oh yes,
and
yes,
so you have these and they end up like falling for each other. They have
yeah,
this very
yeah.
cute couple in the movie, and they're both like body stand-ins for Hollywood. So like the whole time they're having conversations about like, oh, where'd you go for dinner last night? But while they're being filmed, like half naked, pretending to have sex and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's
And at one point they're just like, "Can we just like get you to take your shirt off? I just need to like, see the light in the nipples." She's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And
eh,
he's like, "Can I like, he like first part
warms
of his job he needs
warms
to
his
like
hands.
fondle her."
Yeah, he
Yeah.
warms his
And
hands
she's like,
up. Yeah,
"Okay, thanks."
yeah, yeah,
But like
yeah.
it's just so like casual and so like
Yeah,
whatever,
well,
and
because
I don't
it's their
know, it was
day
just
job, right? Like it's the kind
yeah,
of
right?
the day in day out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they,
Actually, yeah, some of it kind of reminded me of that too, and it was
yeah,
just I don't know, it was good. It was a really really good. I want to use the word wholesome, but I don't know if that's the right word for it. But it felt really wholesome.
well,
I
that's
don't
good
really
though.
know
I
what
mean,
else to
like
describe it.
it's yeah, to tackle those kind of topics, but then still come out
Yeah,
with a
a
like a
feel good.
feel good, yeah, like
Yeah,
a feel good ending to some stuff that can be kind of taboo. Like
yeah,
that's a feat, I think, to accomplish, because that's the other thing is
yes,
that I've been looking at a lot of the other shows and things that I've been wanting to check out that look like they're high quality, look like they're getting high recommendations, but I look at them and from the get go, it's like this is not a feel good movie, or this is not a feel good
mm,
TV show. It's like
yeah,
doom gloom and solving murders. It's like no, I don't. I'm Winter Blues. I do not want to watch yet another crime drama where somebody has been
yeah,
maimed, or or I don't want to watch a documentary on like some serial killer. Like no interest. I want to find some more positive stuff. Hence the idea of
yeah,
getting back into some more anime and some colorful, talking mushrooms.
yeah,
Just gonna like
yeah,
beat the doldrums away, right?
yeah.
Um,
I mean, if you're looking for more recommendations, I still highly recommend Ruby. It starts off really rough, but you can see the graduation of animation and the graduation of storytelling and delivery, and it's really nice to see. But
Yeah,
anyway, I'm
I need
done.
to start I need to start looking at things on YouTube that are more narrative, because my YouTube watching tends to be more Minecraft. It tends to be more research. Like I've been watching a lot of like tutorials on modeling software and stuff like that. Which surprisingly, I found some very tolerable people. I don't remember their names right now, but some people, depending on what type of video they're doing, I find they can have some very strong presentation, and it's too bad that that doesn't bleed over into other stuff. Like part of the challenges, I've
Mm,
talked about this on the show before, but part of the challenges with finding Minecraft related content is that very often these people are talking to kids or feel like they have to talk to kids, so they put on a personality, and it drives
yeah,
me crazy. I will check out in the first 10 seconds, not even that.
yeah.
And And the
I
same
feel like
same
that's
goes
just a
if it's
YouTube thing.
it is,
It's
and
like a
it's unfortunate.
personality, like the YouTube personality.
Oh, it's yeah. There's a real. I dislike it immensely, and the people that I watch are people that don't do it. Like they're the people who are like, I'm betting if I go and have a beer with him or her that they are the same. I
Mm,
guess the same. The only thing that tends to bleed over is if they've been doing it for 6 or 8 years, they still have the same intro. And the
yeah.
only reason I can get past it is because I've seen enough of their videos, or I've seen them pop into somebody else's video where they're not doing the introduction. And so the introduction has this like talking 5,000 miles a minute and this over the top like, hey guys, and it's like, nope, I'm out, can't do it. Um,
Yeah.
but there are some current YouTubers, specifically some hermitcraft people, they do that, but that is not indicative of the other 20 minutes of content you're about to watch. The rest of it is just normal. It's just normal stuff. But it's just that their intro, they've been doing it for so long that it's the easiest way to get into the show. It's no different than
Yeah.
me. If you asked me next week to change the way that I introduce the Citadel Cafe, I would bumble over it. Like I would have a really difficult time after doing 300 episodes of virtually the same
Mm,
intro, right? Of
yeah.
changing that up. But it's not over the top. It's a pretty standard intro. But I've found a bunch of these tutorials and things online. So I tend to lately when I go to YouTube, it's either watching some Minecraft stuff for my Minecraft podcast, or I'm watching some tutorial things for my own education. I never really think to go to YouTube for narrative stuff like Ruby. I tend to open Netflix when I want to turn off and watch, the next episode of Titans, or watch, a movie, or be entertained as opposed to keeping up with, that kind of content. I
Right.
but it's just because I haven't really sought much of it out on YouTube. And of
Right.
course, a lot of YouTube unfortunately suffers from the reverse, is that there's just so much content on YouTube that
Yes.
you can
Yeah.
waste so much time looking for something worth watching. Whereas on
Oh
Netflix,
boy, can you?
yeah, but like the but
Ugh.
the but the Netflix thing is the reverse. It's like, well, I've already watched all the stuff that I think is going to be good. Everything else is just either uninteresting to me, or I heard it sucks,
Yeah.
or no, I'm not in the mood for it. And it's because Netflix has got such a limited selection in Canada.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so YouTube, it's like I have to remember to go bookmark Ruby so that it's on my playlists, or like when I am in
Yeah.
that mood and I can't find anything on Netflix, and go, oh, I can go watch that because I can easily find it.
Yeah.
I just haven't gone and done that.
I will say that, like, I find YouTube, at least, for the Rooster Teeth content, I know that they're trying to push all their stuff over onto their website a little bit more,
hmm
because of the whole new YouTube analytics business and stuff, and there's
Speak,
just a bunch
yeah.
of stuff going on with that.
Speaking
That
of, and I mean, I'm a YouTube creator. Like I put Minecraft videos and stuff up on YouTube, and I do my best to kind of. I'm just me. Like I don't put on a personality.
yeah, I
Uh,
love your videos a lot. Actually,
well,
I
thanks
need to
very much.
comment on more of them. But they're really chill.
I worry
They're
sometimes they're
really
too
really
chill,
nice.
but some people have
No,
been
like
getting more out of it.
sometimes that's nice. Like, it's like, I mean, for me, I like to put stuff on in the background while I'm working on other things.
hmm
Um, but like, I'll put on some like Sims building videos and stuff. But like,
Right.
like your Minecraft videos are really, really great to just kind of chill out too.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that
Right?
because
Yeah, like I really, really like them. I feel like I don't comment on all of them. I should do that a little bit more because I know that helps your engagement.
right.
So I'm sorry for that, but I just wanted to tell you personally that I really, really enjoy your video content. I think it's really, really relaxing, and it's really, really easy to listen to, and it's really easy to watch. You may find that most Minecraft videos I can't watch because like I not for I can deal with some like high energy stuff, but like the extent of the high energy that you can see in Minecraft video is a little bit out there. It's a little bit much sometimes.
I can't do it either.
Um,
Like I tried to catch
yeah,
up on some things. Like I'm on a server. For those of the people that don't know, I'm on another server called the Realm of Aston, and one of my server
yeah,
mates, Germsy Boy, works on texture packs and does some really cool stuff. I've been able to pick up some really great tips from him, and part of my own kind of like art education, trying to make a lateral move into video games and stuff, and learning a little bit. And he did an update video, and I threw it on my second monitor the other day. I was working, thinking I could listen to him talk about his texture pack and glance over it from time to time, but I couldn't. I sat there and I ended up watching the whole video. And that particular video is maybe not the best example, but like other videos that I would want to do that with, I can't because they're not real time. Like these are
Mm.
people that have played the game for 8 hours and they're giving you the 20-minute highlight reel, because so there's something cool to see in every minute for the most part of these videos. So you can't just have them on in the background. With
Yeah.
mine, and again, I appreciate the compliment. Mine, like, I will build a dirt road for 2 hours because that's how long it actually takes. And I
Hmm.
enjoy it, and I'm engaging with my Twitch audience, and I'm hanging out and doing all these different things. But there's definitely points in that video where, not for long swaths of time, for a good 60 seconds, I'm not talking. I'm just digging because
Yeah.
there's only so much you can say about dirt, you know.
It's true.
And if no,
Yeah.
and if the chat room's really quiet, like people aren't talking about Spider-Man or whatever the topic happens to be. Usually it's more Minecraft related, but it can vary.
Yeah.
Because the other day when I was streaming, Alistair was also online, so him and I were chatting back and forth about stuff. Not on mic, but like in the chat room. And so like that kind of thing can help things be a little bit more engaging, but it keeps it chill. But it's also a different temperature in terms of like when people watch one video from one YouTube creator and then they come to watch mine, like it's a different speed. And
It's a
I
different, yeah,
yeah, so
different ball
and
game.
I've had people come in and comment, "Oh, this is too chill for me," and they check out. I was like, "That's fine. It's not meant for everybody." But I
Yeah.
it sounds horrible, but I can't be bothered to put that kind of energy into. I want to relax and play video games. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
put on like that much energy into it. Like that to me does not sound appealing at all.
I saw something really interesting on Tumblr the other day that just is when you said like I just want to relax. Um, it was something about like people getting after people who like to play Minecraft for relaxation. You're like,
Hmm.
oh, you're not a real gamer if you like to play Minecraft for relaxation. It's like, man, just go plant some like 8-bit flowers or something. Like chill out or whatever. Like use that time to just relax for yourself. And it like I don't know. It was just kind of funny. But yeah, like I've seen two different ways. I've seen Minecraft get really crazy, silly. I've seen Minecraft get like Rooster Teeth does a really great, like the Achievement Hunter group
Hmm.
does a really great Minecraft series where they just it's like five guys and they're all like they're all in an office. They're all like playing off of each other and they'll
Hmm.
do things like someone made like a tower of pimps. It was like an obsidian block with four
Right, I
little
remember
blocks
that
on
now.
top of
Yeah.
it, and they had one where they had like it was like a find the tower thing. So they had like a decoy tower so the entire world, and the whole point was survival mode. Find the tower first, put it back on like you had like everyone had their own block with their own plaque on it, and get it
Yeah.
back to like home base and put it on your block, and then you win.
Yeah.
Right? It was kind
Mini
of just like a
games and
fun
stuff like
thing.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like fun. Well, this one like ended up being like two 45-minute long episodes because there was just so much shenanigans that happened and like people
Hmm.
who were like backstabbing each other. It turned into like this full of like comedy drama thing, and it was actually really funny to watch. Um,
That's actually what's
like
happening.
really entertaining to watch. But
Yeah, that's what's happening on Hermitcraft right now, and it's been very, very fun because they've
yeah,
kind of quote unquote split into two different teams, and they're doing like this prank civil war, and they've built bases, and they don't normally do this in Hermitcraft. Normally they just kind of do their own thing. It's called Hermitcraft for a reason, and
mm,
and so they've got like these videos where you've got like 6 or 8 of the YouTubers that you watch are all in one video, and they're all in the same Discord call, and there's some really fun stuff happening. But what I've been finding most enjoyable about it is how tongue in cheek it's been,
yes.
and it's one of those things where you've got I follow the Mumbo Jumbo, and he is not on either team. He's been assigned to be a mole, so he's like a double,
Mm.
triple, quadruple agent because they're all making YouTube videos. So none of this is secret. It's not like he's a real spy. He's telling 2 million people on his followers list that he's a spy. And they all immediately go comment on everybody else's videos. So the humor that he's putting into this, like he's participating and role playing just enough to say that he's in and participating, but everything else he's just kind of like, I don't know, am I being a good spy? But by the way, people, don't whatever you do, don't go comment and tell them that I'm a spy, knowing full well that that's a, and then he's just like, oh wait, no, better yet, do go comment, but when you go comment, tell them I'm not a spy. Like it's just, and he's British as well, so I mean, that dry sense of like
Uh,
the double, triple, quadruple. I can't remember what kind of agent I am. Like it's just, am I being a good quintuple? It just raises every time he does a video. Like it's really really funny stuff. Yeah,
sextuple agent, like
yeah. It's getting out of hand to the point where it's just
That's
silly,
really
but it's
funny.
fun. Like it's really entertaining to
Yeah.
see because these are people that have been friends for years and they're just doing some
Yes.
silly stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that I find really really entertaining. But they're also not over the top like crazy hyper stuff. They don't do Minecraft's like next 5 best builds. They don't do top
Oh
10 this.
yeah,
They don't do is
yeah,
this the like they don't do this hype stuff. They just kind of create their own content at their own speeds and kind of go from
yeah.
there. But
I
anyway, to
kind of
get
like. I'm sorry. I was gonna say I'm the type of person who likes to make things that I would like to watch,
yeah.
and I think that's kind of what it sounds like they're doing
Yeah.
too, which
So,
is
and I
fun.
mentioned this before when I mentioned Magic of Voxel as a program that I've been learning. It's really fun, but again, also very hard to find tutorials from people that I actually want to listen to. And
Mm,
so I've been finding that quite frustrating with YouTube content recently in terms of switching from more entertainment videos to trying to find more educational stuff, but finding surprisingly that this annoying tone, this annoying pace that I find with YouTube, and maybe I'm just old, but it's transitioning over into the tutorial stuff. It's like people can't learn when you talk so fast that I can't process what you're saying. And it's I'm surprised at how frequently I run into it. It's like, oh crap, this looked like a very well produced video. It looks like I might actually learn something. Too bad that I want to stab the person with a spork because I can't listen to them. Like it's just
I just stabbed them with a spork. I haven't heard that in
yeah.
actual years, and it just took me right back to like my early internet days. Anyway, wow. Ooh, I
Yeah.
that sentiment is very still deeply ingrained in my brain, and I totally understand what you mean when you say that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh
But anyway,
boy.
so I haven't been watching a whole lot, but I'll put Ruby back on my list. But that brings
Yeah.
us into the Internet Minute, which is brought to you by you being the patron. If you are someone that supports the Citadel Cafe, then thank you very much. We're actually up one patron this month compared to last
Oh
month, so
yay.
now we're at 15. So we're on to looking for
Yay.
16 for February. So are you that person? I don't know, but you can go to patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe to find out how you can become a member. Supporting the show at any level gets you access to the Discord chat, which is where myself and Megan and a bunch of other friends talk about geeky and nerdy stuff all the time.
I mean, me kind of. I'm more of a lurker. Sorry,
Well,
go on.
you pop in when it counts. A lot of Lego talk lately because the next Lego movie is coming out in like a week and a half or 2 weeks. So that's been kind of forefront. There's also a little bit of Star Trek talk going on and all that kind of stuff. So check it out at patreon.com/the Citadel Cafe and let me know what you think. And thank you very much for all the support so far this year. It's been phenomenal. The internet pick that I have this week is real simple. I came across this just minutes before the show, so I know very little about it, but it looks beautiful. It's called Inmost, and there's an announcement trailer on YouTube. I'll have that linked in the show notes. It is an atmospheric, story-driven puzzle platformer, and it's pixel-based. It's a pixel graphic sort of idea,
Ooh.
but it is beautifully animated. Like it, as an animator,
Ooh.
someone that used to work in TV and was educated for film and TV and animation, this is well done. Like there is anticipation and fall through, and everything's very flowy. And they're not making a retro pixel art game. They're making a new pixel art game. So I want to be very clear. It doesn't look like a JRPG from like the 90s. It really does look like a new game. It's just they happen to like the pixel aesthetic. That's kind of what they're going for.
Hmm.
So it's controller ready. It's for Windows only, which sucks. Or at least
Oh.
Windows only. It's not a Mac. It's not a Mac platform, which is too bad. Which is I don't know why a platformer for pixels would be Mac or would be PC only. Anyway,
Ran aside.
yeah, rant aside. What drew me in was the art direction and the presentation. It's very polished. It looks very very well done. It looks different. It's all very gray and spooky. And there's apparently 3 or 4 different characters that you can play, each with their own play style, speed, and abilities. So depending on what puzzle you're presented with, you might be better off playing as one of these different characters, depending on what's going on. The gameplay is going to encourage you to explore every nook and cranny, avoid detection. So there's like some stealth stuff going on. You can slice through enemies, so there's battle. But it all looks very interesting. The one thing that caught me in the trailer, there's a level where a guy is running and jumping and swinging, but there's what looks to be a shadow or a blob chasing him. And every once in a while, it reaches out with like a tentacle and drags him. And so you've got to keep far
Oh.
enough ahead of it so that it doesn't drag you into a pit or into an obstacle when it drags you back. So it's this constant like make progress and then get dragged back. And I don't know whether that's you always get dragged back at that particular point or if it's you only get dragged back if you're not far enough ahead of this bad thing that's chasing you. And this bad thing that's chasing you is like, I can't remember what it, oh, I could even reference it to. Like it reminds me of like any kind of like smoke monster or tentacle thing that you've seen in a modern sci-fi film. Like I'm
Hmm.
trying. Well, okay, for example, Venom. Like it looks like the
Oh, okay.
symbiote from Venom is chasing him and lashing out with like tentacles that look like hands, and then it looks like an octopus, and then it looks like a blob with a mouth, and it like it's a shape shifting just thing that's chasing him,
Hmm.
and it's fast. Like it's this is not a like Mario Super Mario kind of vibe. This is a much faster paced game. Anyway, looks beautiful. It's called Inmost, Inmost. And they'll have I'll have a link to the game site as well. They've got a link to the Steam Store webpage. All of it is linked underneath the trailer in the
Cool.
descriptions on YouTube. Yes, check it out. It's worth a look.
That sounds rad.
Well, that wraps up this episode of the Citadel Cafe. You can find more info about the show and links to some of the things that Megan and I talked about at thecitadelcafe.com. Music for the show was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can email us at thecitadelcafe@gmail.com or find us by name on Twitter and Facebook. Subscriptions are available around the board. You can do iTunes, Android, Stitcher, and Spotify. Pretty easy to find. Just search for us by show name. My name is Joel Duggan. You can find everything I am doing online at joelduggan.com. That includes my illustration and design portfolio. I am available for hire right now, so if you'd like me to do some illustration or graphic design work for you, then just let me know. Get in touch via the website. Don't forget to tune into my other podcasts. We talked a little bit about Minecraft today. You can follow The Spawn Chunks at thespawnchunks.com, and we are coming up with a new guest next week on Comics Coast to Coast, where I interview comic creators, illustrators, and animators. Everything else is just my name. I'm really easy to find online. It's just Joel Duggan. Megan, where can people find you online?
People can find me online on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Megan Townsend. And to follow my personal project, The Heir of Kelbanon, HEIR, that can be found on Instagram as well.
You've been listening to the Citadel Cafe, where we are fast, easy, and cheap, but you can only pick two.